All right, what's happening, guys? I thought it'd be fun to create a tier list of bourbons for either the beginner or, well, I consider myself a beginner. I've only been into like high-end bourbons for 2 years, so I might as well document at this point in my journey where my palate's at. I went down the rabbit hole of drinking crazy, high-end, expensive bourbons, and I'm not, even though I've tried a lot of insanely rare stuff, I'm not going to talk about it because this is just, I don't want to make this video too long, but this is the stuff that like every beginner just getting into bourbon or whatever should, these are all the bottles that you should know about. And this is the bottles I'm familiar with. Okay, so I'm not going to go into like $1,000 bottles or whatnot, what have you. But here we go. And just as a preface, is I don't want to hurt anybody's feelings. I'm going to be like really honest of where my taste is so far. And if I don't like the type of bourbon that you drink, well, it's not a personal slight against you. This is where my palate is, but my palate is always evolving, right? Over the past 2 years, I've greatly appreciated a lot of the stuff that I used to didn't like. So, and at the same time, like maybe my palate is very unsensitive, is very basic. So if I say something that like dog the stuff that you like, well, I'm sorry. Well, maybe my palate is just not as sensitive. Okay. So let's get into it. Right from the top, Eagle Rare, amazing, always good, for $35. Even this might be a controversial thing, but even for $80 or $90, I know it's like way the F overpriced. Even for that amount, it might be a really good buy, especially like an Eagle Rare pick. Like I keep saying over and over again, Buffalo Trace Mash Bill #1 has a phenomenal grape note sometimes. And if you're lucky enough to get that, it's worth $1 million. But most of the time, it won't have it. But even like the worst single barrel Eagle Rare, it's still pretty good. Really highly drinkable. Stagg, boom. S tier, amazing, phenomenal. Some of the batches are not my favorite. Some batches are better than others. But just like I said before, this is the same mash bill, Buffalo Trace #1. If a Stagg has like this grape tier or like a grape note, to me, unrivaled, insane. Are there probably a couple bourbons like better than Stagg? Yeah, they might be, but they're in the thousands of dollars and whatever. We're just talking about the stuff that I like regularly drink, okay? Moving on, making this video quickly. Wild Turkey 101. I'll be controversial and say this is a C or D. I mean, for the availability, it's amazing. It's really well balanced. But the cult following that I get, I mean, I'm a huge Russell's fan. I'm a huge Wild Turkey fan. I'm a huge fan of this mash bill. However, the 101, the like all these barrels mixed together, don't do anything for me. But I do appreciate, like, for being a 6 to 7 to 8 year old product, like 8-year-old barrels mixed into this. For $35, it's pretty good. But if you're a beginner, I would say like a beginner to beginner. I would say no, not really. I mean, I wouldn't hang your hat on it. It was just it's the baseline. It's the baseline. I'll put it that way. Conversely, I would put, how about this? Let's be controversial. I know a lot of people want to cancel me. just fucking just punch me, like, as they see it, like, just punch me through the screen as I'm making this video. Wild Turkey Kentucky Spirit is D tier. Why? Is it bad? No, it's not bad at all. But this is sold for $70. $70, mind you. Crazy. Like, why? Why is it sold for 70 bucks? This is just like Wild Turkey 101. Yeah, no, I get it. This is a single barrel, and this is like a bunch of barrels mixed together, but it's probably the same age statement, the same proof. This thing is still sold for 25. This for 70, 80, maybe 90 in some places. Not worth it. I've had multiple picks of this stuff. Personally, I'm more of like a high proof guy. To me, it doesn't have that much flavor. $70, $80, no, not worth it. But to show you guys that I'm a huge Wild Turkey Russell's fan, I'll put the single barrel in the A tier. Just higher proof. Got that Wild Turkey funk. Amazing. I'm getting into turn the bottle over, seeing with Rickhouse if it's like from like Camp Nelson. That's like the one that's like the good one. That's the one that's by the river. That's a definitely buy. For 35, I mean, yeah. The regular Russell's Reserve, like single barrel for $80, $90 at a store, no, I wouldn't say not worth it, but a lot of the stores have like a Kroger's or grocery stores have like a store pick for 65 bucks. Yeah, you amazing. You can't go much better than this. And to join the A category would be, let's see, Four Roses. Here we go. I'm not talking about the regular Four Roses. I'm talking about, this is a private barrel Four Roses. They have 10 recipes. This is what's fun about bourbon. Just like looking at the label, seeing the slight variations from different rick houses, different picks. Four Roses has like not only different, like obviously different barrel picks, but 10 different recipes. So if you see this for like $100, I know $100 is a lot of money to most people, but if you go like higher in proof, like if you get like something like this, like in the 120 proof range, A tier all day long, it's amazing. I did not like it at first. My palate was not advanced enough to like high rye, high floral bourbons, but now I'm on board the hype train. So to keep it moving, Elijah Craig Private Barrel can definitely join the bunch. Some of them are S tier. Can even be even more delicious than Stagg. But because a lot of them are not, let's just keep it at the A tier. But Elijah Craig, what a solid 8 or 9 year bourbon that's like 9 or 10 years old for like $80, $80, $90. I mean, it's a phenomenal buy, 100%. And I'm also, all for this. All right, let's do something controversial here. Weller Green, D tier. I know all the Buffalo Trace products have been super allocated, or like last few years, it's just they've been going off the store. So anything Buffalo Trace just get picked up and resold and blah blah. This is not it, man. This is like a cocktail base. This is like, it's not worth secondary or people like trading it for whatever, you know. However, I'm not a Buffalo Trace hater or like a Wheater hater at all. I would say Antique A. There's a difference between these two, a big difference. When I was first getting into bourbon, I fell in love with this stuff. It was amazing. Got this like dusty tobacco, like complex flavor. And I thought this is way more available. I thought this would be like a good substitute. No. Something about like higher proof in 2 more years. Antique is A and Weller is, it's just not the same. It's absolutely not the same. I don't know. I don't know what people do when. Okay, I don't want to be too controversial. I don't want to offend anybody, but to me, to my taste bud, it's mixer at best. All right, let's keep it moving. Old Ezra 7, A tier. But this is the rye. This is the MGP stuff. Because MGP is known for making like amazing ryes. And this rye, like, if you don't like ryes, if you think ryes are nasty, got this like tangy floral taste to it, or got this like some ryes have like to some people like cilantro, Kleenex, like cleaning chemical, harsh flavors. MGP, try Old Ezra 7 rye if you're a beginner. Really good. It does not taste like a rye, but it's a rye. It's amazing. And in the same category, let's say we have a huh? Oh, I think I have too many categories that I hit. I'll keep moving on, and I'll move on to Old Ezra 7, the bourbon. I have some choice words to say about that one, but let's just free up some space here. Woodford Reserve Double Oak, B tier, really good, like a stout Guinness chocolate. It's good, but you got to make sure to get the store pick. It's definitely worth it. It's more expensive. Get the store pick. If it's not the store pick, it's in the C or B. It's in between, but the store pick is a solid C. Solid beer category. Booker's A. I love everything about it. Jim Beam, the peanut flavor. It could be a S tier, but I'm not gonna put it there because they're kind of inconsistent. I love like the presentation, the bottle, the black wax, the wooden box, and everything. Some of them are really like the country ham or the sweet tea or whatever. Insanely good. But other ones are not like as good or whatever, and for the price tag, I'll just put it in the A tier. How about that? Augusta, let's do Augusta Buckner's 13. It's not, I mean, Augusta put their like logo on it. Their up and coming distillery. I haven't tasted like the actual distillate of Augusta. This is sourced from 1792 Barton's. I don't know why they won all these awards, but I'm happy that they did it because I was one of the first people aboard the hype train. I think I was one of the first people that actually saw this bottle that was like $200, but it was like 13-year crazy high proof, and now you can't see it on the store shelves. One of my favorites for sure. Would probably go head to head with Stagg or George T's Stagg or like any of like Buffalo Trace's like antique collection. This thing is a banger. Now, the word is out and it's all sold out and $200. I mean, it used to be $200, but now I know people are bidding on these bottles at auction houses, and well, I might know of a store that of like a dusty store, like very like back alley, rough store that let me put it this way. I might go back and go check out a couple of stores that I think they probably still have these bottles. Buffalo Trace, Mashbill number 1. Let's put it C. The store pick, I'm sure it's good. I never had a store pick, but the regular stuff, overhyped. It's in like Wild Turkey 101 range. I'll put it that way. Let's just move quickly here. Jack Daniel's Foolproof Banana Bread, pure banana. You get something 135 proof. Don't get 129. Get like 135 and like an up, or 130 and up. For $60, man. This holds own for sure. For sure, underrated. Moving quickly here. Old Forester Birthday Bourbon. I've had it multiple times. There's a bar called Longfellow and Over the Rhine, downtown Cincinnati. Bless your heart, the owner. A lot of like high-end bottles that he has MSRP. Like he would have like high-end bottles or like stuff like this. It's about like $15 a pour for a 2 ounce or whatever. He's like a cocktail bar. He doesn't want to like go crazy mark anything up. He's like hands off. I've tried this stuff I tried like a flight of it, Old Forester. I've tried. I know there's like different batches, there's different ones, but for the price, for the hype, if you're new to bourbon or whatever, you're just getting into it, it's C or D tier, man. Don't waste your time trying to find it, So, okay. This one says Seagram's Benchmark, but basically this represents a dusty bottle. What I mean by dusty, something that's like 50 or 30 years old. There's a Revival whiskey, or let's say Neat in Louisville. They have like old school bourbons or whatever, like you can buy like the old, like from back in the day. Those bourbons are really, really, really good. Really good. Their proof is way less, and especially even if the proof in the bottle is just like the bottle actually loses proof, it gets more mellow. But like you think like Jim Beam, it's not that great. Like the Jim Beam from the 70s, the 10-year-old stuff, man. Or even this Benchmark. I actually this is the picture that I chose because I had this bottle at a friend's house. This like Benchmark before Buffalo Trace bought it. Whew. It's good, man. It's really good. The only problem is like once you get into like Dusties, man, like it's so expensive, like, and you can go down the rabbit hole why they taste more expensive, because it's like the ingredients. It's not computer made. It's one made by hand. The wood that they made, like with the barrels that they use, like the wood is much older. That they aged it a lot more and has a lot more rings and yada yada yada. But let's put it this way: dusty vintage bourbon, A tier, 100%. Even though I totally understand that. It's really expensive. It's It's out of reach for most people. I'll put it that way. Okay, let's do a couple more controversial things about Wild Turkey. Wild Turkey, rare breed. It took me a while to start to love this bottle, but now I do. I'm a big fan. Ever since I got into Russell single barrels and stuff like that. Big fan of the note, the flavor's called the Wild Turkey Funk. I love it. Big fan. I wasn't in the beginning. My wife described it as like black pepper, and I agree with her. The rare breed, 120 proof, and for the life of me, why is this like $50? You can get it $50 at like a grocery store. And something has a lot more water. $70, $80. The same age statement with a lot more water, but single barrel. Just because this is like not single barrel, it's like the barrels are mixed or whatever, but As far as value, rare breed all the way, 100%. And somebody was like, one of the guys I was talking to was like, he was telling me like, yeah, her Wild Turkey rare breed is like one of the best values in the bourbon market, hands down. And I thought he was just BSing or whatever, but now, as much of a fan as I am, he makes a really good point. 100%. Oh, here's my, yeah. Just now appeared. Old Ezra 7, but this is the Heaven Hill one. Not the rye, but their high proof bourbon. Not it. It's not good. I'm sorry. It's not worth the $80 or $90 or whatever people are charging. New Riff solid B. Some single barrels are just okay. Some are amazing. And believe me when I say that New Riff, this stuff used to be like 4 years old. They just put out an 8-year-old product. They are a force, man. Like, it's good. The 8-year-old stuff is good. It reminds me of like Michter's 10. The guy who owned this distillery, he just sold it. I know he's getting up in age and he's wanting to retire and whatever, but to me, man, like, I think New Riff is like not even peaked yet, man. Like, I mean, I might be a bit biased. They are the closest distillery to me right now, proximity. And we did our first barrel pick that turned out phenomenal, but still, man, like, keep an eye out New Riff, man. Like, the 8-year, I would say just try it. Amazing. Yeah. So speaking of Michter's, low entry barrel proof, Michter's 10, right up there. I always liked Michter's 10, really good. Really sophisticated taste. Really, I can't put my finger on it, but why? I don't know why it tastes so good. I mean, it could be A tier, but it's not going to be because it's so hard to find, man. I just had like a few pours here and there that I paid for. Somebody poured me. I mean, Eagle Rare 10-year, $35, and so much more available. So that's why Eagle Rare is A tier for me. So 1792. This one's it's a single barrel, but I want to say like this is the regular store shelf stuff. 1792 from Heaven Hill. That will go for Elijah Craig. 1792, just like the regular, like low proof store, like stuff that you can see on the store shelves. I would say like C or D tier. What I mean is like they're not offensive, like as far as like any kind of taste, like any off odor or tasting notes or anything like that. They're fine. But as like a bourbon, somebody who's just like getting into like going crazier and crazier into bourbon and like falling down this rabbit hole, like over having this crazy collection of stuff, like would I just grab this off the shelf and just drink it? No. It could be a mixer for people, that's fine, but I'm just gonna be honest, 100%. Like, I gotta be honest to myself and to you guys. Would I even buy this? No. Because I'm a purist. I just drink things neat. I wouldn't buy these low proof shelfers. They're like super common. I just wouldn't, and I wouldn't even reach for them because I know I wouldn't drink them, you know. And while we're on the topic for being canceled and not people liking what I say, hurting people's feelings. Maker's Mark Cellar Aged. I've had this a bunch of times, and I know maybe my taste buds are dead, and I need high proof stuff to like wake them up to feel anything. But yeah, it just tastes too much like regular Maker's Mark. It's better than regular Maker's Mark, but not by much. It's like more smoother, well-rounded, everything, but I get the whole thing. It's like Maker's Mark is really protective of their brand, and they don't want to like release stuff that's like aged longer because it doesn't have like the same Maker's Mark profile. It's too off profile, so they have to build an underground cellar to age stuff longer, but so it still tastes exactly like Maker's Mark. But that's the whole thing. It's like it tastes like Maker's Mark. It just like tastes like a slightly better version of Maker's Mark, but not blown away. Or it's decent, but as for the price and for the hype. Oh, speaking of hype, let's do Blanton's D. It's good. It's decent. It's smooth. That's about all it's going for it. I mean, if you add enough water, anything can be smooth. It's not offensive at all, but... And I'd put Blanton's out of the barrel. It's really good. It's really good. But just the price tag and the rarity, you know, like if Buffalo, like it could be A tier, but just because Buffalo Trace doesn't make enough of it, it makes so many people's fight for the scraps. It makes the price go up, like, or like secondary price so high it's B tier, you know. Wild Turkey 12, as opposed to, I've literally have multiple bottles of both, A-B'd both, and yeah, well, the Wild Turkey 12 is on a different level than the 101. Let me put it that way. A tier, really good. Got this like subtle, like green melon honeydew flavor. It's phenomenal if you can get your hands on it. And for even on the secondary, if it's like you see for $120, it's still a pretty decent deal for like a special occasion or whatever. Russell's 13, C tier. I know there's different batches, but the ones that I've tried were not as sweet as I would like, or people that are into... I'll put it this way. I feel that people are paying $400, $300 for this stuff. I'm sure if I could create a flight of like some of the best Russell single barrel, I don't think there's no way that they're picking this better than more. Like that's like they're gonna say that this is better than the Russell single barrel. The stuff like the really good picks that I've tried. No way. Yeah, some people are going crazy with it. Just an expensive bottle. I think that's about it, really. You know, just the brand, just the scarcity value, not even the brand itself. Knob Creek. This is the one that really got me into like high proofs. Visited Jim Beam, got me one of these single barrel bottles. Went home, opened it up. I thought it was like too yucky, too crazy, didn't like it. As I started drinking more and more of it, I got like, this one introduced me to high proof. So I'll be forever grateful to Knob Creek, Jim Beam, especially like 120 proof store picks, $60, 9 years old. Amazing value. And they're still available, 100% A tier. And it's $60 cousin. That shouldn't be much more than $60. I know it's a cult classic. People are going crazy over it. Let's keep it at beer. Let's keep it at B. I think this is a good place for it. The thing is, limited availability. So I've got ripped off when I first got into bourbon. I've paid over $120, $150 for it because I really wanted to know, because I thought it was like a high-end bottle. it's decent, but once you're just, I'm just trying to like bear in mind, think about the hype and the price, right? So it's giving to keeping all that in mind. It's probably B or C, really. You know, it's good for $60, man. If you get it Rite Aid or you go to your local grocery store. Old Forester, okay. Now, obviously, a single barrel product, so some are not better than some are better than others. But if you had a good pick of this stuff, this is the top of the top, man. You taste some of this stuff, and you're like, wow, man, like. You think or you understand you're drinking some high-end stuff, man. It's that good. It's that good. Like that's the type of feeling you're like you get, you know what I mean? This is like cream of the crop, high-end stuff. The first time I tried it, that's the impression that I felt. I've tried 3 or 4 picks of this stuff. Unfortunately, the pick that I have here now at home is like a little too oaky for my taste. Not the best, but I'll put it. Every one of those that I had from out of a buddy's house or a guest house blew my socks off, man. It was amazing. And to not to make this video too long, to round it out, the good old E.H. Taylor, man. Let's just. It's so over, like it's so hyped up, man. It's like. So hyped, such a big like demand for it. Anything Buffalo Trace, but it's still so good that it's a B tier. It's solid. It's solid. You know, even bearing in mind like the crazy price markups. All right, so obviously I could have done a ton more bourbon. You know, there's like a lot more like I could have done, and this video could have been like 2 or 3 or 4 hours, but like I want to keep it short. Like, what do you think? Am I completely off base? Am I crazy? Should I be canceled? Am I an idiot? Do I have like the worst taste buds in the world? Let me know in the comments section. All right, peace.